Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our webinar, our Mobile Applications, Data and Transactions in Your Blind Spot. This webinar is being run in collaboration with Prado, and you will shortly find out why. Just a few housekeeping rules. First of all, the webinar will be recorded and the replay link sent to you later this afternoon. You can leave questions throughout this webinar in the chat space on your right, and we will take them right at the end. We will also run a few polls during the webinar. Please participate. This would really help animate the webinar and make the session more interesting. And right at the end of today's webinar, there will be a satisfaction survey, so we also appreciate your feedback there. So this afternoon with you is myself, Vera de Chauvigny. I'm the Product Marketing Manager at Rohde & Schwarz Cybersecurity, and Xenia Tuz, who is the Business Developer at Prado. So here is the agenda for today. We will talk about our partnership and the reasons why we joined forces with Prado. We'll talk about modern application needs. We'll talk about mobile attack surface and how it has been changing over the time. And then the product in-app protection from Prado will be presented to you in more detail with a specific use case, and we'll talk a bit more in detail about Prado security, and right at the end we'll take your questions as promised. So first of all, why this partnership with Prado and Rohde & Schwarz Cybersecurity? Well, enterprise mobility, which is the core business of Prado, is increasingly growing. So traditional Rohde & Schwarz cybersecurity customers are now extending their applications to mobile environments, and these are not covered by web application firewalls in general. So Rohde & Schwarz Cybersecurity and Prado decide to join forces to cater for more comprehensive security requirements and to protect all types of applications. So now we can protect combined web and mobile applications, and this security is ensuring data privacy and reinforcing regulatory compliance, which is becoming more and more stringent and relevant for our customers. So together we have identified meaningful opportunities to address customer needs with a unified approach. So we're pulling our resources, our account managers are joining forces to streamline the approach and help customers address application needs globally. We're going to leverage the proven track record of successful innovation from both companies to address all types of applications. We also see synergies in responding to a changing world of growing mobility and digital transformation going forward, and more integration on the technical side is also going to be possible soon in the future. Both companies have unique and robust technology made in France. Both companies have their research and development teams based in Montpellier, and both are also members of Hexatrust, which is France's leading technology association for cybersecurity. And Prado is a pure-play mobile security, while Rohde & Schwarz Cybersecurity specializes in web application firewall business for nearly 20 years now. Let's now look at the hierarchy of modern application needs. Gartner, a leading world analyst firm, has identified a hierarchy of modern application needs, starting with core application security, well, actually starting with application security hygiene, and then building on that with core application security strategies and technologies, as you see in the lower blocks of the pyramid. And web application firewall is the last brick in core security products category. And then building on that, you have additional application security strategies and a number of different technologies to complement the core product. And of those, you have the RAS product, which is marked here. This is the runtime application self-protection, or currently it's been renamed to in-app, which is the complementary and stands on top of this stack, and this is the product that we'll be talking about later on in the product that's presented by Prado. So at this point, I would like to run a poll to see which of these technologies you actually have in your environment. Okay, so the poll is now open. And so which technology do you already have? It goes from application security testing, API gateway, web application firewall, cloud access security brokers, or otherwise known as CASB products, or in-app protection. Please vote now. And we will share the results with you. Okay, so the following results have been made available, and I'm unfortunately unable to share them with you, but to more than 50%, so 55% of you have a WAF technology already in place, 20% API gateway, around about 10% AppSec testing, and 25% in-app protection. So AppPoint is proven that the core technologies are the ones you tend to deploy in your environment today, and so further development is still needed for additional application security strategies as identified by the analysts. Let's now look at this other survey. This is interesting research from Hanuman, which showed that mobile applications take the lead when it comes to interactions of different applications. So the question was, what types of clients interact with your applications? Mobile apps have a leading 55%, followed by partners using APIs, web browsers, and then aggregators using APIs, and then finally partner bots and some percentage of others. So this shows that mobile applications are more common. The security is somewhat still lagging behind. And this is why we're today. This is talk to you about how important it is to add mobile security measure to your portfolio. And this is what we're going to do in the next few slides. So first of all, how will our partnership work? Well, for the customer, it will be completely transparent. We're pooling our resources between Rohde & Schwarz Cybersecurity and Pradeo towards a common purpose of offering an integrated solution. But as far as the customer is concerned, it will be one-stop shop. So you will have one lead sales contact, making your life much easier to negotiate your full portfolio and your full solution. You will have one contract, one quote, and one bill. So this continuous collaboration on our side will support your evolving technology and to achieve best customer experience going forward. On the technology side, this is the technical overview of what the joint solution will look like. So Rohde & Schwarz Web Application Firewall will still continue to act as its primary function of proactive protection, so against known and unknown threats, by diligently filtering traffic from websites and web services APIs. And this conditional access will be complemented by Pradeo in-app SDK embedded in the mobile application, and hence adding precise threat detection capability from mobile environment. So we know that this move makes sense, both from a technical and a commercial perspective, because otherwise you don't have enough visibility into mobile app attacks, and this is hence the title of today's webinar, and it will also help you combine all your application technology in one place. So we'll avoid chasing web apps on one side and mobile apps attacks on the other. So at this point, I would like to hand over to Xenia to present you the solution from Pradeo. Thank you, Xenia.
So thank you, Vera, for giving an overview about what about our joint offer. And so now we will go a little bit deeper. So we'll explain you from which perspective it is important to protect your own mobile apps. So first of all, I would like to take a look on mobile devices and show you which threats can surrounding mobile apps today. So today our mobile devices are a goldmine of sensitive data. So in fact, users store a large amount of sensitive information such as contacts, for example, names, phone numbers, numbers, emails, and location information on their mobile devices. And they also often use digital services, which have direct access to their personal data. And so a mobile device can be exposed to various types of threats or attacks. And there are three main vectors of mobile threats that need to be covered. So we have app threats, network exploits, and OS threats. From our expertise, we know that the application represents today the biggest vector for mobile threats. Basically, the app model can be compared to an iceberg, just to make you to understand it better visually. As user only know what an app does for functions and on screen, but not what happens in the background of an application. For example, what data does the application access and what happens to the access data, if these are only retrieved or forwarded. And Purdue have conducted an in-house study and found out that 78% of all mobile threats come from apps and less than from networks, with around 12% and 10% from the devices themselves. So for this reason, is it highly important for businesses to uncover all application behaviors on unmanaged devices in order to be able to prevent access to the digital services and protect the users' data. So, and then we come to our product in a protection that can help organization to protect a mobile application that will be executed on unmanaged devices. And we often came across the business need on the market regarding how to protect digital service on unmanaged environment. And because many companies developing their own mobile applications to provide digital services for the final customers or also partners, so they need to make sure that their own application can run safely on the end user device. And the fact is that sensitive application can be exposed to different threats coming from third parties application in its environment. And there are different risks on the mobile devices that can surround applications like keylogger, OTP interception, malwares, clones, and so on. So therefore, produce inner protection, empower mobile application with self-defense capabilities by simple integration of piece of code and SDK directly into application source code. So mobile application, like other system processing information, must comply with different data protection rules. So our solution, this solution guarantees user-friendly experience with transparent protection and gives companies the capacity to protect the digital services and users' data on unsecured environment. And so before we go to the next slide, I would like to ask you a question. So my question will be, is your application secure in external environment? So by simply just giving you feedback, yes or no. I will just let you think about it, and as soon as I have all your feedbacks, I will continue. Okay, thank you. Excellent. So for the moment, it seems like no one have a solution that will secure application in external environment. So that allows me also to continue with the next slide. And just to go a little bit deeper in the solution, what we exactly provide as a service. So inner protection is a service intended for companies developing critical mobile application that are going to be executed by end user on his non-secure device, and in which sensitive data is going to be handled and shared. Just to make an example, it will be much more easier to understand. So it can be e-commerce app, mobile payment apps, smart home apps. So this kind of apps that handling sensitive data. And so by embedding Predio SDK into application code, this solution will protect your own apps from data leakage and ensure that the client's data will not be retrieved by any malicious third-party apps. And there are three different levels of protection. So we have the app shielding. So it's a first level of protection, which enable your app to detect and prevent target attacks such as repacking, code injection, cloning, overlay, key screen logging, man-in-the-middle, rock access points, basically all kinds of attacks. Then the next level will be the collector. So this option gives the security insights required to evaluate the integrity of the environment of your apps is running in and gives you the possibility also to enrich your SOC and CM database, like for example, Curadar, Splunk, ArcSight. And the third level will be the threat defense to extend the full capabilities of inner protection. So the threat defense is required. And this option scrutinizes the execution environment of your app at runtime and adapt its behavior to detected threats and inappropriate configuration. Will it be malware, outdated OS version, malicious profile installed, and so on. So just to give you a little bit more details on the first level of protection, so app shielding. So this protection is provided by Predio in the form of an SDK, which is integrated directly in the source code of the app, like I mentioned before. So after the integration, no future updates are required, and everything can be managed and monitored from a remote console. So by embedding Predio SDK into application code, this option empowers apps with core shielding capabilities to towards app cloning, overlay, man-the-middle, rock access points. Basically, you have the whole list of threats and attacks that we can prevent. But there is zero reporting. So the app will be protected from different types of attacks, but this option does not give you any information on the detected threats. So that's how we come to the next level, and that will be the collector, which can complete app shielding capabilities by providing companies visibility on the identified threats and allows better to understand their risk environments. So it allows to know which threats and risks are presented on the end user device. And so by enabling this option, the inner solution will start collect all attacks and event logs to enrich any SOC or CM database. And for many companies, it's an important aspect to know which threats are represented in order to be able to refine the mobile security strategy and make also conclusion on future mobile threats. In case of a breach, a reporting will be automatically transmitted in due time. And if the customer is interested to switch to another level of protection, so between app shielding to collector, it can be easily activated from Predio Security Platform in few clicks. And the third level, to achieve the highest level of protection, the final step is to activate threat defense. So the main purpose of this service that customers should not only be able to analyze its application environment, but also be able to respond with appropriate self-protection countermeasures to protect users from data loss and fraud. So how the threat defense work? So the calls to the application are intercepted and the threats are precisely identified in real time. By knowing which type of attack can be your application exposed to, with the last option, the customer will be able to adapt his protection measures according to identified risks. Just to make a quick example, if analysis detects a threat like OTP interception or man-in-the-middle, it will be reported. So the customer might decide to downgrade the service of his app, or either to continue running the application independently from the app's analysis result, for example, in case of an outdated device, as the security of this as the risk itself, it's not impacting as highly your app as, for example, an OTP interception or man-in-the-middle. So basically, our agent detects when other apps try and access your app data and prevent the attack. And your app will then adjust its behavior to threats detected on the device with more granular remediations options. So what are the key benefits of inner protection? So for security heads, it's clearly the flexibility of this service allows the security teams to implement and operate protection based on their requirement and maturity of their project. So all protection levels are independent and complementary. So if the security decides to extend app shielding capabilities to collector, it can be directly activated from Predio console in a few clicks. The second advantage, I would say, the comprehensive reporting allows also security teams to discover the mobile threat landscape surrounding the digital services on the end user device. And it provides a better overview about identified threats and help companies to make conclusion on top threats targeting their business. And at the same time, all the attacks and the event logs can be exported to any SOC or CM database for cross analysis. On the other side, for developers, the integration is rapid if the impact is limited to a simply blocking of the app in case of a threat detected on the end user device, so it will be app shielding, or it can last a little bit longer if a more sophisticated interaction is designed to alert users or and remediate the threats or to downgrade the service offered to users whose devices are compromised. So this is basically the threat defense. And in terms of the SDK, updates are very easy to implement because we have the line and the definition of security policies accessible from Purdue platform from the SDK. So everything is executed and managed through the administration console. New instructions are given to the host app via the Purdue SDK, and they do not require any new development or a new version of the host app. So now we come also to the use case. So a use case with nNav protection. So it started when Purdue Lab carried out a study aiming at assessing mobile banking security by analyzing randomly 50 banks' mobile application ranked among the top 100 worldwide banking institutions. So our researchers challenged the banking application using 20 techniques from sophisticated to basic ones commonly used in cyber attacks targeting mobile devices. And the result were unequivocal. So 100% of the application failed the test. So back from then, now we are working with one of top 20 global banks, which is using our in-app protection to protect their banking app and the millions of users from fraud and data leakage on untrusted environment. So just to have a quick sum up about Pradio. So today Pradio provide a 360-degree protection covering threats coming from network, device, and application. So we have developed a unique behavior engine based on artificial intelligence, which is capable to reveal and qualify precisely all hidden behaviors of mobile application and suspicious activities performed on mobile device. So in our portfolio, we have different solutions for each security need, which allows us to prevent companies from data manipulation by offering three main solutions: so mobile threat defense, mobile application testing, and of course the in-app protection, which we have been discussed today more in detail. So if you like to know more, you can visit our website or contact directly Rode Schwarz team. And now that we are coming also to the end of the presentation, I would like to ask you the last question. So this question would be, would you like to improve the security of your mobile application? So simply yes, and I would like to be contacted by Rode and Schwarz Cybersecurity. Yes, if you are not sure when the project will be mature enough or when will be the right timing, and no, if this solution does not correspond to your need at the moment, maybe. So I would really appreciate if you can give us a quick feedback. Okay, thank you. So now we will come to the end of the presentation. So thank you very much for everyone again for your participation, and I will hand over to Vera for a little sum up of the webinar. So Vera,
thank you. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Xenia. This was great, very comprehensive presentation about the in-app protection, which gives a 360 degrees overview of all mobile attacks and enables to protect your mobile environment. So right now we're going to open for questions. I see a couple of questions in the panel right now, but please feel free to add if you haven't done so. So first question, what kind of testing possibilities are available? Xenia, would you like to take that?
Yeah, sure. So there's many different testing possibilities. So imagine when you want to start to see how the service works on an app, we propose you to test our service just to embed an not public application or SDK, and to check you in your internal environment how the solution work, how we trigger the alerts, which kind of attacks. So basically this kind of service we propose for customers just to check how the solution works.
Thank you. The next question, do you send the presentation to customers after this webinar? Yes, indeed, we can send the presentation. So thank you for asking. You will receive a copy of the presentation, as well as obviously the replay of the webinar to all who have registered. Next question, when you say SDK incorporated inside the app, you mean this SDK provides APIs for the developers to use for the app development process, or independent modules that can be directly used?
So it's, I would say it's a more complicated question. So what I mean, yes, of course there are some APIs for the developers to use for the app development. So as the SDK will be directly integrated directly in the application codes. It's also an SDK when it will be integrated in the app. It will be work as independent module that can be directly used. So it will interact also with the server, for example, with the banking servers, just to know which kind of attacks were triggered. If there's no, for example, cloning of the app, if this legitimated app on the end user device, which is connected with the banking server, for example, just to make clear. I hope it's like more technical questions, but
Okay.
of course, if there's need for more details, we can we can directly have a discussion with our technical team.
Absolutely. Okay, I've got another technical question. How long does it take to deploy an SDK into the app code?
So it's really depends. So as we have different protection levels, as I mentioned, so for the app shielding, it will take couple of hours, I believe, to integrate the SDK directly in the app, and it's a ready start solution, so it will automatically block all attacks. But if you want to remediate some threats and respond with more individual or adapted countermeasures, so it will be threat defense to the last level of the protection. So it can take some more time, so just for the definition of the security policy and to work on all blocking possibilities. So I would say it should not take more than 1 week of work.
Okay, thank you. And another question, do you need to reintegrate the SDK into that with each application update?
No, so basically, the simple flexibility also, I would say, of our solution, that you can directly integrate the SDK, and within the first integration is everything done. So when you have a new update of your application, we have separated the security policies and the versions, so it will be all managed separately and remotely from Cradio console. So there's no need to update the SDK in the new version.
Thank you. Okay, I think we're coming to an end now. Thank you all for attending this webinar. A great thanks to Xenia for this overview and a deep dive into the product. We're really looking forward to working with you going forward. So as you leave the webinar, please remember to answer the satisfaction survey that will pop up. This will be of great help for us for the upcoming webinars. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for participation and listening.